we'll start with some easy questions. Laura, do you have a middle name?
Laura Jane Stewart.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 25
Okay.
right now.
And where did you go to high school?
Queen Wilson.
Well, Laura was born pretty much at term,
Okay.
at the end of the 9 months, but she didn't grow very well during the pregnancy, and so that she was, instead of being 8 pounds like her sister, she was only 5 pounds.
Okay.
So while I was pregnant with her, she didn't have the food and she didn't have enough oxygen to grow the extra 3 pounds that she probably needed. The doctor immediately asked me, "Are you smoking?" Because that's a reason why babies don't grow so long. I said, "No, I wasn't smoking." "And were you taking any drugs or drinking a lot of alcohol?" "No, I wasn't doing any of those things." So it was kind of perplexing about why the baby wouldn't grow very well. But the doctor said to me that one of the most important things during pregnancy is that the baby gets enough food and nutrition, and the best way for that to happen is if you take care of yourself and if you eat well, and if you aren't under a lot of stress, and if you rest and so on. But the job I had really didn't allow me to do those kinds of things, so kept on working at the same frantic pace I had been before. And then it was only later in the pregnancy when we really realized that her growth was really falling off that I had to stop working, and I had to lie in bed, and I had to try and help this baby grow as much as possible.
Okay.
She was in the hospital for about 5 days, and the biggest problem is that she was really floppy, and so where other babies could nurse really well, had strength around their mouth, she just didn't. So it took her a long time for Laura to be fed. That was the biggest thing I think that we noticed right away. And then later on we noticed that she was slower to sit up. She just didn't have the muscle tone that other babies did. But it was stressful initially trying to figure out what could we do to support her. What are the extra things that we need to put in place to support her? Very fortunately, we were involved with the Children's Treatment Center. Do you remember that? From the time she was 1.5 years. And it was just fantastic. The physiotherapist taught her how to walk. The speech therapist taught her how to talk. The occupational therapist taught her how to cut with a knife and a fork, and how to feed herself, and how to learn how to do up zippers and buttons and everything. So we were really lucky that although she had difficulty with many things, we also had therapists who helped her, and they loved her. Because while Laura was slower to do some things, there was one thing she was really, really good at, and that was smiling and making people happy. And everyone loved this little girl that needed extra help because she loved them back. And as soon as she could start to talk, she started telling people stories, so that she gave us great delight, and that delight helped to give us the energy then to go and get the supports and the treatment that she needed. Why don't you talk about what it was like to be teased? What were some of the things that happened to you?
There were a couple of boys on the street in Orleans who used to tease me a lot. Then in elementary school, and a little bit in high school, I was teased.
Mm-hmm.
Why were you teased?
About the way I walked, talked.
Mm-hmm. They just didn't think you belonged there, did they?
Mm-mm. But it was always nice to have people like my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the elementary school stage, because she always stood up for me.
We probably wouldn't have made it all the way through the pregnancy without your daddy, eh? I was working in the hospital, and I worked 24 hours on and 24 hours off. So for 24 hours, I was working in the obstetric ward, so that I would maybe get a half-hour sleep, and then another woman would come in, and I'd have to provide care for her. So Laura's daddy used to come into the hospital every day and bring me dinner, because hospital food isn't so very good. So every day he would come in, he'd bring me dinner, and then we'd have a quiet time together. And that was a really nice kind of centering time for me. He would, I was very, very tired during the pregnancy, and so when I would get home, he would do the meals, and he would do the cleaning around the house and stuff. So the father is, as well as helping to make the baby, is really, really, really important all through the pregnancy, and then to help care for the child. Having a baby is like running a marathon. And you wouldn't think about going to the starting point of a marathon without having any training. And having a baby is the same kind of thing. And when you think about training for running on a marathon, you think about that you're physically fit. And so if you're going to have a baby, you need to think about being physically fit. When you think about running a marathon, you have to be well nourished. You have to have lots of fruits and vegetables and lots of protein so that your body is going to be able to do the whole marathon. Same thing with a pregnancy, because now you've got a little baby relying on the food that you take in, and that food is going to help that little baby grow. The other thing about having a baby is that it is stressful, and it changes your whole life upside down. So it's a good idea not to have a baby until you're really ready for it. And being ready for it means, to a great degree, that you've got a loving relationship, that you've got a partner that's going to support you. So when you're throwing up in those first 3 months, it's your partner there giving you the crackers and saying, you can make it through, you can make it through. And that doesn't even count about once the baby comes and you need the support to care for the baby. When you have a baby, it is the most wonderful thing that will ever happen to you. So pick your time when it's the right time for you. Prepare yourselves and enjoy.
Love the little one, and also be understanding towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Because people like me always need love.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding when we are small.
Mm-hmm.